like days that the healing feels like, oh, it's going really fast,
right,
and then
right.
you might bump that thing, and you're
that
like,
thing hurt again. Yep.
Ooh, that's how.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Blck Impact. I'm Tiffany, your host, and I have a lovely guest here with me by the name of Khadijah Tribble. She is my godmom. She's phenomenal. She is in the cannabis business. She has her company called Marijuana Matters. What else are you doing? What else are you working on?
I'm working on healing myself. I'm working on 420 Mamas. I have a brand coming out in a few weeks called Amity. A lot of stuff. A lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, as you can see, everyone, I'm in a different setting right now. I'm actually at my godmom's Airbnb. She will be listings will be posted very soon, so be on the lookout for that. She is also wearing a Black owner designer. Tell us a little bit about the designer you're wearing.
Sure. So since Blck Impact is about raising awareness around trauma and helping us really bring more and shine more light on the various ways that trauma impacts our life and our daily decisions, I thought I would rep a brand called Blck. It is a cannabis culture brand, and they do a lot of work focused on healing using the cannabis plant. They do yoga. Okay. They travel around the country. They put on an amazing fashion show that I got a chance to be a part of. And I just wanted to, further cement that the importance of a show like this allows for us to enter the conversation around trauma and healing in various aspects, from our personal journey, from businesses, from community. And, Rolling Bouquet is just one way to have that conversation.
It looks really, really nice.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so we're going to get to it, okay? So I have some questions for Khadijah today, aka my godmom.
You can call me mom.
It's my mom. So my podcast is in regards is based around trauma and healing. So my first question for my mom today is how did your parental trauma affect you as a child growing up?
Yeah, so when I read that question, I thought of a couple of different things. And mind you, I'm 50 years plus.
Okay.
So my perspective is different. I'm a parent myself. So when I first read that question, I was like, I could say a lot of things that went wrong in my childhood. But I want to preface it with, when you're a child, you don't really know kind of the things that are happening to you are fairly traumatic. You're just getting through life.
Right.
And you don't really have, some of us, and most of us don't really have a lot to compare it to, because in our immediate family and our immediate communities, families are very similar. So I grew up in an environment in the South and raised by my mom, who was married at certain points. She was never married to my father. But the trauma that I experienced really was pushed by society. There were a lot of things that hampered my mom's ability to parent how she wanted to parent. And one of the things that I have
sorry guys, Divine is here. Those of you who don't know who Divine is, he's my
he causing me trauma right now.
Support dog. So he's here messing with.
I mean, but the grace that I have to give to my mom, who I understand now as a parent raising kids and adult kids particularly, that there isn't always room for the parent to address their own issues while they're trying to provide.
Right.
And so for me, I've had this love-hate relationship with both my parents. I as an adult, I met my father, and what even in my trying to deal with all of my own feelings around my upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
I think about what in the hell must they have been
Going
going
through.
through
Yeah.
themselves to kind of be the people that they are. And mind you, I didn't have a bad upbringing. But there were definitely things that happened in my upbringing that inform how I move and operate, from my finances
Mm-hmm.
to the kind of mate that I want,
Mm-hmm.
to where I work, where I live, what I say to my kids. Some of it negative, some of it positive. So to answer that question is just not cut and dry. I would say that there's a multifaceted way in which upbringings our upbringings and our
Right.
childhood impact how we see the world.
Yeah.
And I think everybody could learn from just investigating that, good or bad, investigating how you're acting now based on what happened to you or your upbringing.
Okay. You said investigating, like far as investigating.
So
Oh,
trying to interrogate, like, there was a long period of my life where the first of the month was problematic for me.
okay.
Paying rent, making sure mortgage and bills paid. And a lot of
Yeah.
that had to do with my upbringing, because my mom was never in a financially stable situation. Well, not never. She was never in a situation long term
Right.
of financial stability. And so we often were evicted from places. It
So,
didn't care how much money. I've been able to make money
right. Right. Right.
for a lot of years. I still get anxious sometimes.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Really?
absolutely. Robin can attest. Baby, 15 a month. Did the mortgage get paid? Right?
So it's basically society has shaped your trauma in some type of form.
Well, I don't think we're not without, particularly Black people.
Right. Right.
I mean, I grew up. I was born in '71. My mom was born 20 years prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom 20, 30 years prior to that, and they lived in traumatic times, and
Yeah.
they made decisions based on what was happening at the time. And so,
Next
yeah.
question I have: what type of attachment styles have showed up in your life that created trauma for you that you brought into your adult life?
So, yeah, again, I thought about this question, and I'm going to switch the question around a little bit. Part of my personality also, and I don't know if that's based on childhood or what, but the question doesn't necessarily resonate with me the way that it is. But what does resonate with me is my ability to detach from
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with the story that I just shared, because when your things are put on display on the street,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go to the next place with a third of those things, and having to choose which of those things are going to get trashed or which of those things are going to make it to the next house over and over again, I can leave all this shit in here and go on by my business, right?
Yeah.
Not detached to things, homes. I mean, I would be anxious after 2 or 3 years. I'd be like, oh, what's the next city? Oh,
Mm.
what's the next house? What's
Because
the
you were
next
so
thing?
used to moving around when you were a kid.
What I was used to is not being attached to
Just,
a place.
is that kind of a good thing or a bad thing?
It could be both,
Both.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't move and operate along those same lines, but you don't even realize that you're doing
Doing
it
it
based
right.
on anything in your upbringing. You just think that you like to, you're
Yeah.
good, you're easygoing, you don't have to be attached to stuff. You don't really, you don't put down roots and things of that
Right.
nature. So a lot of trying to address how I'm dealing in relationships helps me identify, when I say interrogate or investigate, so I can interrogate, why are you like this?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that is a bad thing, but what is the root of this behavior or this thing?
Yeah.
And then I can go, oh, I think that might be the root of it. Look at it, turn it around, decide if it's useful for me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And for how I wanted to be in the latter parts of my life, it wasn't useful. So now I can stay in a place a little bit longer than 3 years at a time.
Okay. Get that. What type of advice, or how do you think that we can break those type of generational trauma cycles that we go through?
I wish I knew the answer in terms of breaking them. But one of the things I think has been truly useful for me, Robin and I, my lifelong partner, the best part of my life, we talk a lot about grace,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Giving people grace because
Because watching her and the relationship she had with her mom was super beautiful. I just didn't have that kind of relationship with my mom,
mm-hmm.
but it allowed me to actually have insight into, oh, my mom is a whole ass person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a part of her personhood was being my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but she had this other world and way in which she lived that I don't think I really thought about, asked about, had any kind of concern with until maybe the last 5 to 7 years. And
Mm-hmm.
in investigating and trying to figure out and learn more about her, there's a lot of pain with her existence, right?
Oh, okay. Is that the reason why you never really even cared enough to learn about that?
No, I just think we're, as kids, we don't really give a damn about our moms and parents and dads as people. We care about them as our parents, right?
Right.
But to understand that she was a whole, I mean, I saw a picture of her holding me when I was super young, like maybe a couple of months old. I was like, oh, that's Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
Not my mom. That's like Carolyn. Like, she had a whole life before right? And she had aspiration and she had ideas about how she would move and operate. And during a time in which perhaps those aspirations were harder because she was a Black woman in the South, and now a single parent with a kid. And how I came to be is actually even traumatic because it wasn't necessarily the best situation for her. And so I think the best way to try to address generational curses is for the person to have grace and a desire to really understand their family unit and how it came to be. And respecting the fact that people perhaps don't want to talk about it because they haven't addressed. Like, my mom has never seen a therapist.
So what do you do when you're on your healing journey, right? Me, like, I'm on my healing journey. I'm trying to be better and find out information about my family, heal, move forward. But I have people in my family that doesn't want to talk about uncomfortable situations. How do you think I should navigate that? Or how do you think I should navigate that?
Yeah, I think you want people to hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
You want people to be responsive to you. And I think in order to have that expectation, you have to give that too.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's okay to ask. And I think it's also okay for people to say that they're not prepared or in a position to share with you. And you can't hold it against them negatively, because I think there's still a way to address and heal through without knowing all of the pieces, because I think people will give you insights even in what they don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think right.
But your journey is, everyone's journey is uniquely theirs.
Right.
The best thing I think that people can give themselves and each other is the space to be, however that is.
Right.
And it's really difficult. It's super difficult.
Yeah, that is difficult.
So how are you doing on the journey?
Times is hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I, give people a space to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't accept that as them being, but I'm learning to navigate and how to accept that sometimes. But it gets hard sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah, it gets hard.
Yeah. When you think about the soul healing or spiritual healing, and you liken it to a really bad sore that you have, like the scab and the pus and all that nasty
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's to me it's very similar. Like, and then there are like days that the healing feels like, oh, it's going really
good.
fast, and
Right,
then you might bump that thing, and
And
you're
that
like,
thing hurt again. Yep.
ooh, that's how the soul heals. And you, it's not, it's all, it's, the journey is like, I think forever, to be honest. To try to show up and be the best version of yourself means you're constantly trying to figure out ways to address hurt, but also make room for joy and happiness and content. I mean, just because you're healing from something doesn't mean you can't find joy and happiness.
Yeah,
baby,
for sure.
Because it's that's a dark place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And nobody want to be in that dark place.
Well, not for long and not alone, right? Which is why I always, you know, I'm always like, you got a therapist? Like, I think you need a therapist. Like,
so do you think people can only heal if they go to therapy?
I think that healing requires an in-depth look at ourselves. And I know very few people who can take a look without the help of someone who is trained in that space to do deep work. I think you need a companion to help you. And some people find various ways to do it. I just don't know if in this time frame that is enough to read books, if it's enough to journal. I think there are parts of the journey where you have to have someone else hold space for you.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I have met some people who have said that they don't feel like they need a therapist, that they feel like they are able to handle their emotions and navigate through life without that. And you know, of course, I don't agree with that person, but if that's what they choose, then that's what they choose.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make it the reality. I mean, people have an opinion or a thought, and maybe there's some factual evidence that would suggest. I just think, you know, we've only really been doing this kind of work. I mean, it hasn't been long. I mean, it's not
I feel like
1,500 generations.
We just got on this path of people trying to heal and trying to navigate through life, and I feel like, well, I know I have been, but I feel like society and the world has just came up on trying to heal and talk about uncomfortable conversations and things like that. But before, we weren't on this path of trying to do things like that. It was unspoken up. We never talked about it.
Yeah, definitely not as public as it is now.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for people who say they don't need a therapist, I mean, I'm not one to try to make anybody go to therapy unless you're in my family. And it's just like, it's like a non-negotiable. I just think if you're really trying to go through stuff, get better and deal with your shit, someone else can help you with that. And it's okay. Like a therapist, it's so interesting that a therapist, like, well, if I need a heart surgeon, I go to a cardiologist. Yeah, I'm just going to that space to get the work. If I mean, we've been working on this house, getting it ready to kind of make it open to the public, and I'm super proud of the work that we've done, and we've done a lot. We've done a lot of work. But baby, I'm not a construction worker. I can't do some stuff. So I call them, and I don't feel bad about it. So if I need someone to help me deal with kind of what's going on in my mental space, I don't feel like that's a bad thing. So yeah, I think want people to.
We take on that role like we can do it. We have all the tools to do certain things, but that's not the case. Like we don't have everything. We don't. We do need help we need outside help from a lot of people and resources.
For sure. And that, I mean, our world is full of people who are experts at various things, and why not avail ourselves of those things?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But I like the journey y'all young people on. I mean, Y'all in this era. What's the era right now?
The healing journey, I guess.
No, what's
What
that? You know, we were talking the other day, the soft girl era. Y'all are hard. Man, I love that for y'all.
We had a lot of eras.
Yeah, because we didn't have that. I mean, I
no,
didn't
y'all
grow
had
up,
it. It just wasn't like a dress. Like you guys didn't speak of it.
Yeah,
y'all didn't even know what it. We have like specific. We have words for it. You guys didn't really have words.
Well, it definitely wasn't
things.
like the soft girl era. I mean, the closest thing to that was something being like a kept woman, and baby.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's not like the same thing.
I mean,
a kept woman, soft girl era is like I want to be in my femininity. That's a kept woman.
I don't know what do you know about being a kept
woman is like she's married, she's a housewife. That's just my opinion. She's married, she's a housewife. She's faithful, she cooks and cleans, you know, all housewife things. But like a soft girl earl is just like pretty dainty, femininity, like girl's girl. I would.
So what if you like a stud or something? You like a you can't be a soft girl. You can't be a soft stud.
Are you a what? I mean, I guess you can. I guess it is like soft girl stud.
Look, I'm in my soft girl era. Anyway, yes. I mean, yeah. So I mean, I think our generation definitely. The soft girl era is definitely something that's new to me. But I think there are tons of women that I grew up with that were steeped in their femininity, right? But they also associated it with it was tied to a man, right?
Yeah.
They weren't just feminine for the sake of being feminine. They were like femininity attached to some masculinity, and it's defined by that. So maybe the difference is that now the soft girl era has nothing to do with whether a man is present or not.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hey.
But you have a lot of soft girl. I think it is tied to a man though a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, because it's like you want to be a soft girl because you're tired of a lot of men being in their soft girl. Like, so what am I trying to say? So I'm saying that you want to be a more feminine. You don't want to be masculine, because a lot of women, we have been told that we are masculine in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying?
So give me an example of how you're being less masculine. Not you per se, but this generation. You're in your soft girl era. So that means you're not taking out the trash, or does that mean you're not getting your coffee? I mean, you.
So I think it's like both. Like I feel like we have both. We have femininity and we have masculinity, right? But I think like when it comes to women, we're the breadwinners now. Men are not really the breadwinners. Like we do have men that are breadwinners, but right now women is like breadwinning. So I guess that's like masculinity. When women, they just want to, now we want men to be providers and take care of home and stuff like that. So I think it's all society based. Like, yeah. So
it's so interesting because I would definitely I would call that being a kept woman. I'm not paying no bills. I'm at home. I'm gonna put this apron on. Gonna make sure this macaroni and cheese together for these kids when they get home.
But if you don't have kids, you're just letting that man buy you things, and
are you married? No, life?
I mean, no, you don't have to be. No.
Oh well, honey, that's holy.
So you could be wait.
My bad. That's old people talk. But no.
She said that's holy.
In my day and age, honey.
That's what it's called, holy.
I mean, yeah, if a dude is paying for stuff and you're not married, then what are y'all doing?
Dating.
I don't want none of my sons to be caught up in that trap. No. When you date, you pay your own bills when you date. You
have dating and dating exclusively, because you're not, until they make you their wife, you're not their wife.
Right. So, and I know this has nothing to do with the topic of trauma, but it's probably a way we get tied in. So, if you're dating in this day and age and you're exclusive, but you're not living together, is the guy paying your bills? What? No, I don't want my sons in none of that.
So you're saying that he only has to pay your bills if you're married? Some people think that way.
I don't think that is the case either. I really think, however, your household is structured is how your household is structured. And I have the benefit. I'm in a lesbian.
A lot of people out here are doing that. Like,
I know. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I would tell my son, sir.
So, but how do you get to that point? Like,
you live over here and he lives over there, and not you like you, but the woman expects him to pay light bills over here and over there.
Mm-hmm.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
And what is he getting?
Ass.
Baby, that's hoeing. Like I said. I mean,
some people are not even giving that. They're just like, yeah, not all women. They're just giving company, like presents.
I don't know. I just think that that's a really odd way to think about how man shows up in your life. If you are not sharing the same physical address, I guess. I mean, I just didn't. Yeah, yeah. And I, as a person who dates women, if I were in the dating pool, I would never have a woman because, baby.
Well, that's why a lot of men don't have a lot of women, because they just look at women as like,
well, do you want that? Do you want you personally? If you're dating a guy, you want him to pay your bills at your house and the bills at his house?
No, that's selfish.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, good. You're being raised right. I just think there's something right. I just think it's super odd that, if you're dating, even if you're dating exclusively, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with date night, getting your nails done, making sure that it's like a little luxury items, but paying car notes and insurance and no.
No.
That's hustling backwards. Anyway, okay. I mean, that's something I learned. Soft girl life.
Yeah, soft girl life.
Well, what else you might want to know? You got me. I'm an open book. Is there anything you always wanted to ask me and you never did? No, because you're good at asking questions. You sure? Is there anything else I can share with your guest?
I think you already gave them tools of what you think about therapy.
I would just want to add, because when I first went to therapy, I was 26. Marcus was 2 years old. It was a mess. It was a lot going on. I didn't go to therapy because I had this epiphany.
Did you have the resources to go to therapy?
I had a job that paid for therapy.
Okay. Did they make that? Sorry, not to cut you off, but did they make that like a known thing?
Yeah, like it was part of your benefits package, right? And it was very clear to me and the people
they said
around
therapy,
me.
Like
EAP is like Employee Assistance Program, so they would lump it in. Back then, they definitely like, this is money for mental health, but they lumped it under EAP.
Okay.
Now I know I've been in corporate settings where it is explicit.
Yes.
You have this many sessions available, blah, blah, blah. And quite honestly, if you need it into perpetuity, insurance should be able to cover it. But my first therapy session, it was like I was 26 or 27 years old. My life was a shit show, right? I was a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I needed to go do something because I was like on a cliff. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't a good space for me. Mm-hmm. And then after 2 or 3 sessions, I was like, am I going to be crying every day?
I mean, if it takes that.
But at the beginning, I had this naive idea that it was go in, you talk to somebody, you feel better. Mm-hmm. I was feeling bad for at least 8, 9 sessions. And I just wanted to say, for the folks who are in it or afraid to go in it for that reason, it gets better. But sometimes you just got to go through the ugly parts to kind of get to the other side. So don't be afraid of the ugly part.
Yeah, it's like hard. You were saying before, when you have a sore on your leg or in your arm or something like that, and you gotta wait for that sore to heal. So it's like a process. It doesn't heal overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It takes days, it even takes months.
Mm-hmm.
It won't, maybe years, but not on your body. But
yeah,
it's just a process, and a lot of people don't want to go through that that process. They don't even want to go down that road, but it's very helpful, and therapy can give you the tools to navigate in certain situations that you haven't addressed. So yeah.
Yep.
So
Well, thanks for having me.
thank you for coming. Well, me coming.
Yes, girl.
So thank you guys for tuning into the Blck Impact. I'm Tiffany, your host again, and I have my lovely guest here with me, my godmom Khadijah Tribble. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Look out for upcoming episodes, and also
your book.
Also, yeah, make sure you check out my book called Healing Generational Trauma, Empowering the Black Community. It is now on Amazon, paperback and Kindle. Also, make sure you follow me on all social platforms. And make sure you also follow my mom too on social media platforms.
Yes.
And also, I'll have her link when it comes to her Airbnb in my bio, and also the information on the black stylist.
Yes. Rolling Bouquet.
Yes.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Blck Impact. See you next time.